Hey, what's up, guys? We're back. Today we're gonna discuss Ryu, do a little review because when we do our patch note videos, we don't really want to clog it up too much by giving our thoughts on it. We'll just do that in a separate video, and that way you can just get straight to the notes and straight to the point for our future patch breakdowns. So, what's up, Mir? How's it going?
Oh, I'm doing well, thanks.
Another thing too I should mention, guys, is when Capcom posted the patch notes for these characters, they actually also had their own little developer notes section, which I was very pleased about, by the way, because it's nice to know what Capcom's philosophy is, because it seems to change over the seasons, and kind of see what they're trying to target. It's also very amusing for a character that they didn't change at all, and they actually attempt to write a note on it. Yeah, without flipping you the finger, basically, for those.
Yeah, it's the very first time they did something like this, so it's
Right.
interesting to
Right,
see.
so I'm happy about that. I hope they do more things like that on developer notes on how they, they're, what they want to do with the game, basically.
Yeah.
Even stuff that's not even balancing. Alright, so let me read the developer notes for Ryu first, Mir. So it says, Ryu is a standard character with a complete moveset. However, it was difficult to see his character's strength. In order to bring out his characteristics, we've buffed moves such as his Hadouken and his crouching medium kick, making it easier for him to control the match at the mid-range. The command for Donkey Kick was originally determined for ease of use, however, as there were inconveniences such as unintended inputs and certain moves being difficult to use, we've changed the inputs. We've also adjusted the ease of use of his combo parts for his overall performance. So, what do you think about those notes, Mir?
Well, I mean, they definitely got it right on the fact that Ryu is your standard average character, and then I
Yeah.
mean that's what the game's based around, right? Like that kind of playstyle. I I still think his like normals and pokes are a little bit lackluster, at least compared to his previous iterations in other games.
Yeah.
But I guess he still functions as a character in the, like in the Street Fighter 5 engine, so I can't complain too much, especially now with the new buffs.
Right.
Um, he does like he can make his intended playstyle work well before he had trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they're good changes, just a bit boring if anything. Like they're not very exciting changes. Like we didn't see anything with the V triggers.
Well, his Donkey Kick edition in Arcade Edition was exciting because it was a brand new move, and he had a brand new V trigger. So now that excitement's kind of over, and I believe Capcom has realized that it's been 2 years now. We still don't see this character in tournaments. It's time to turn up the heat and give some significant buffs here. And like I said, when I first read the notes, Mira, I was disappointed. I was like, man, this doesn't seem like enough, especially when I realized they didn't buff his V trigger 1.
Yeah.
But in this first season of Street Fighter 5, there were a lot of reuse. So yeah, overall, I do like these buffs that they've given the character. And let's talk about our wish list too, Mir. What we talked about before.
Yes.
Obviously, we didn't do a wish list on every character, but we did it for Ryu. We asked for significant V trigger 1 buffs. We asked for either make it a 3-bar, make it last longer, make it not drain on DPs, as well as possibly a charge fireball cancel, where you can spend a gauge to dash cancel it, so it doesn't have to overcommit. We wanted his fireball total frames reduced, which Capcom did do, so I was really happy about that. And to buff his normals in general, because like you just said, Mir, his normals are still quite stubby in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
So his most significant buffs that he ended up getting were his zoning overall. When I say zoning, I'm talking about the fireball speed differences between the light and heavy, the total frames, his normals, specifically his crouching medium kick. It works hand in hand with his fireballs. And they also significantly buffed his confirms. He already had a really great standing light kick, and now that it confirms or you can buffer it into his light donkey kick, and all of his confirms now work on all crouching characters, regardless of range. It is also a very big buff for the character.
Yes, for sure.
So, after reading all these notes, as short as they may be, but as significant they are, like what do you think Ryu still needs to this date now that we're here at season 4?
I mean, it's hard to say because I feel like Ryu is in a really good spot right now. Like he's doing what he's supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
and he's not too strong and he's not too weak.
Yeah.
At least he doesn't feel like he is. Maybe someone will prove
So
me
far.
wrong and like body everyone top 8. So,
Yeah.
but like it's really hard to say. I would love to see more changes to his V triggers,
Mm-hmm.
especially V trigger 1, like we've discussed in the wish list.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid that if you just change that, he might be a little bit too strong.
Is anyone
Like
gonna
if you actually give him a really good V trigger,
Mm-hmm.
so it would be you'd need to nerf him in some other way, and people don't like nerfs, so I'm not sure. Like I don't know. At this point, we have to approach it from like we have to approach it sideways. You know, like just give him new tools that are fun and interesting to use,
Yeah.
and not necessarily like go and buff or nerf old stuff.
Right. But in terms of his zone and how he's playing, like a lot of Ryu players are really liking these changes, especially that he can zone more. You know, we talked about AM Kid. He's really enjoying the character, and he got second place at Wednesday Night Fights recently. And then Daigo, like I said, has been messing around with him, looking at him as a tournament character as well. So there's people, you know, keeping an eye out on his zoning, because that's one thing that separates him between the other Shotos, is specifically the zoning, right? And his damage output is actually quite high after the buffs over the years. So, you know, it's funny you mentioned that, because what he is lacking right now, what's really stopping him from going over that mid-tier range, in our opinion, is definitely his V-trigger. That's what's holding him back. Capcom did not touch his V-trigger 1. It's received weird buffs and nerfs over the time when it wasn't even one of the strongest V-triggers to begin with, even in Season 1. It was one of the weaker ones. And that's really holding him back. His conversions, most Ryu still to this day are either just doing straight up sweep into V-trigger, right? Or they're burning in an EX Fireball into V-trigger, and that's just not good enough compared to the top tier characters, where it's just a normal into a big fat conversion, and then you have to worry about whatever the V-trigger does afterwards. You know, Ryu just doesn't have that stopping power, that big comeback factor of activate the V-trigger, where it's like the final phase, the final form of the character. And you know, it's funny too, Mir. Like, people are saying that, you know, some people are still kind of angry that, you know, Ryu's like, oh, he still needs more buffs, but he is perfectly balanced right now. He is exactly what the Capcom should be aiming for in a character. He is dead mid-tier, but people see mid-tier as a bad thing, because mid-tier means that most likely you won't see the character in a tournament, because in order for Ryu to be higher than mid-tier, he has to be imbalanced, which is what people really want, is they want him to be imbalanced, and V-Trigger 1 is what's holding back from that kit. And those stubby normals. Yeah.
Like his comeback potential is there just because of his high damage output, and in general is just really solid overall. Like his tool set is really solid rather, but yeah, it doesn't have like that tool, like the V trigger that you can just pop and be extra scary for the opponent. Or rather, I guess he can be extra scary, but it just lasts like 10 seconds, and then
it's a scary 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's a scary 10 seconds, but you know, when it's compared to other V triggers where it's scary like the whole rest of the round, you know, like it doesn't compare.
Like
it doesn't give him that comeback potential that he needs. Like, I understand that they built it, like V trigger 1 specifically, as you know, a stun V trigger, right? Like you get 2 resets, or a reset, you know, a combo and a reset, and you get a stun, right? Because everything is empowered, but it just doesn't last long enough, because if you get wrong, then you know one of your chances is gone.
Yeah. Or if you have to air them.
Yeah.
Drains.
Or die.
Or you do one of the new combos and then it drains. But you know, I was talking to MDZ Jimmy, right? Another Ryu main, and he was talking to me about how even though the buffs were great for the character, all of his bad matchups are still bad matchups, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of those characters, like Birdie, for example, these characters got buffed. And, you know, the zoning meta, it kind of got toned down a bit, right? Because Minot and Guile both got nerfs, right? So it's interesting to see kind of where Ryu lands, you know. And like I said, of course he's not like bottom 5 or anything. He's definitely mid-tier. But if your character's bad matchups are still bad matchups, the same ones, then it's tough to really move that character up that list or make him tournament viable, especially when they're commonly picked characters in tournament play. You know, that's always a big factor. You've got these really good characters like Urien, for example, you know, where it just so
Mm-hmm.
happens that his bad matchups are the characters that are way up there, the most popular tournament characters.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's why you see so many Urans in top 36, right? Like they all got through pools easily because they just got to beat all the good matchups and then get to top 36, top 8, and then
Right.
get buffed by the top 5.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That's what happened.
So
Ryu might be the same. It
I
might just
I
be the
really
same
hope
for
we
Ryu.
see Ryu in tournament play coming up in March.
Yeah.
Someone hopefully will use him. Hopefully Daigo. He starts off with the season. That'd be really exciting. And yeah, like I said, hopefully Capcom takes a look at that V-Trigger 1 at some point. It's interesting. A lot of Ryu players are actually using V-Trigger 2, and I don't think they're using V-Trigger 2 because that's a V-Trigger to use. It's more like V-Trigger 1 is like, no, I'm good, bro. I'll just use V-Trigger 2.
Well, to
like
be
it's more
fair,
like that.
V-Trigger 2 did get buffed
It
a
did,
little bit.
and a quality of life change as well.
Yeah, so I can see, I can see just the deterrent of having V-Trigger 2, right? Like, you're like, basically, I know that I have two bad V-Triggers, but I'm going to pick the one that makes you guess on the offense.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a parry or not so that I get a little bit more breathing room. It makes sense,
Yeah.
when you're not relying on your V-Triggers too much. So I can see why people would gravitate towards V-Trigger 2.
Could be
And
worse. Could you
the
have
damage
a
is
Jerry
there.
V-Trigger 2?
What'd you say?
So it could be worse. Could have a Jerry V-Trigger 2,
No, so like no V-Triggers too?
Yeah, no V-Trigger. Or look at Fang's situation. There's so many characters that, just pick the two lesser evils. But yeah, that's pretty much our thoughts, guys, on Ryu's changes so far for Season 4. Maybe we'll have one additional patch coming up mid-season. Who knows what's going on? Let us know in the comments below what you guys think about Ryu's changes. Were they significant enough, or you guys still think he needs something? And should they take a look at his V-Trigger 1? And yeah, we'll keep breaking down these characters and doing reviews of them on the future. Thanks for joining me, Mir. And guys, do us a solid. Please subscribe to the channel. And of course, like the video. It really helps out. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everyone.